1966 GTO. It has spent most of its life as a drag car and part-time street car. This car came to us having been upgraded in many ways, been repainted, and the whole underside's been redone, and all new floors, upgraded front suspension, big block Chevy with over 800 horsepower. Customer wanted to move away from his Turbo 400 and grow some gears, so he decided to go with the T56. American Powertrain supplies transmissions and adapters and all the kit components necessary to install many transmissions in many applications. This GTO kit comes with a bell housing, all the adapters. We're going to a hydraulic clutch setup. That was all purchased through them. Drive shaft's going to need to be shortened after we're done. As you can see, the floor, the front part of the floor, the clearance isn't so bad, but we have to raise it probably an inch to inch and a half. When we get to the mid part of the floor, you got that lower portion there. That's where our problems are the biggest. That's going to have to be raised about 2.5 inches in that low area. We'll be stopping right before the floor reinforcement brace. This car has a pretty fair amount of rake in it. Back end's quite a bit higher than the front. It's still a fairly low car, but since we're making some changes, the engine angle typically is about 3 degrees and the car's sitting level, 3 degrees down to the back. Well, in this case, this engine was sitting pretty much level in here. We've made some adjustments in the engine angle to put it back at 3 degrees with the rake it's sitting at. Not only will it help correct some driveline angles, but it's going to give us a little more clearance in the transmission tunnel area to help us minimize the amount of cutting to the factory floors we need to do. We're going to mark the corners of the initial cutout, try to give us a starting point. Everything else we're going to do from the top side. You can't pull a straight line through here because of the curvature of the floor. So we'll get up on top and we'll pull a tape line and we'll get a piece of that floor cut out. We're going to have to do some taping, put some paper on some glass so we don't want to get any sparks on the glass, because that's going to, or any kind of insulation, anything like that, protect it from starting any fires with the cutoff wheel. If you don't know about glass and sparks, the spark hits glass, it doesn't bounce off, it sticks to it. We're going to identify those marks on the floor we made. There. There. Keeping in mind that we are only going to take out a minimum amount to get this transmission to fit. So that first time through, the tranny may not fit in this hole. But I don't want to cut any more than absolutely necessary. Don't assume that your transmission tunnel is the same shape side to side. Most often they are not. So the factory made the transmission tunnel fit the engine, not the engine fit the transmission tunnel. Here we got our hole on the floor. Give us some extra clearance. came up and brought it back. Looks like we're pretty much what I was trying to accomplish. I had to cut just short of that brace. And now it's time for us to see if that transmission is going to fit in that hole. I can see already we have to do a little work here. We get this shifter off of here. It's going to be in the way. Make sure that when we're doing this fabrication piece that we cap off anything that might be able to get dirt or metal shavings in. That would definitely damage the transmission. We're going to be pretty tight right in this area, which is where it came in and where I made my cuts. That certainly is going to affect us. So I'm going to have to reposition the strap that's holding this transmission in place, get that thing so it's out of the way, and then also we're going to make a couple little cuts and fold that up out of the way. So maybe we'll be pretty close. I'm going to actually make a couple reference marks where I know we're going to have clearance issues right now. I know we're going to have one right here by that sensor. This side here is actually very close, but we still have to go up about another 2 inches. So I think we're going to be opening this up a little wider. We're going to be something on that order. But now keeping in mind, we don't need to remove this material necessarily. We can cut a couple slits and just fold that up, bend it up a little bit. That'll give us, you know, a cleaner finish on our floor pan, so it's less obvious that we've done these modifications later on. Sometimes homemade tools are the best tools. One time I needed a set of tools to bend some flanges, and I just took a couple pieces of 1.25 inch flat stock, 1/4 inch thick, cut them off and welded them right to a set of vice grips. I use these things more than they probably deserve to be, but very handy set of tools. So we take a look at what I did there. A couple dices that just relieved a couple spots so it would allow it to bend where I wanted it to bend. Both sides. Bent it pretty much straight up. That's going to give me a lot more space there to get that granny up in there. Hopefully the front section is going to be okay where it is. We were supplied this very nice profane polyurethane transmission mount, but as it is, there's no way that's going to fit in there. We've got to drop this cross member probably 2 inches in order to utilize that. Now, at this point in the game, it's a matter of what most likely we'll do is we'll do a modification to this cross member, and that way we'll keep this thing as clean as possible, keep the stock exhaust cutouts and everything We'll keep it everything as clean as we can. It'll still keep this cross member will still be no lower than the transmission itself or the oil pan, so I think we're going to be safe there. Alright, we'll get some closer looks up in here. You can see that the transmission is sitting right on top of the cross member without any mount in there at all. We're nicely centered where it belongs. We're not too close in here, so there's room for the drive shaft. And obviously, when we come to this side, we can see we're real tight there. We're going to have to do some clearancing there. Give us a little more. On this side, we can see it's a little tight in here. They can give us a little bit extra there. Ideally, I like to see an inch of clearance around the transmission. It's not always 100% possible, but do what we can. On this side, we can see this casting on the side of the transmission hitting the tunnel. Well, that casting there's no actual function to that, so what we're going to trim that off. There's another piece here. It'll give us a straight shot with an extension and get that top transmission bolt. And of course, we always got to keep in mind that if anything goes wrong with this transmission or whatever it is, this transmission tranny needs to be removed. We want to be able to access all the bolts. Next thing we have to do, install the transmission mount. At this point, all I've done is drill some holes to match with the stock that the transmission mount supplied. We'll lay it up in place. Bolting it to the transmission first, and we can use the cross member and its bracketry to locate the rest of the components on the end. After checking the fit, it looks like this cross member is sitting right underneath the frame. Will work real well. You can mount it just as it was originally, just using these brackets on just drill them to the underside of the frame rail and bolt them up. That'll save us a bunch of time on modifying the cross member. We will be making a custom cross member that'll utilize your stock mount location, so no additional drilling will be required. I'm going to take a couple of reference dimensions to existing bolt hole locations to verify we're the same side to side. 9 3/4. There we go. Alright, now we're good. Get our brackets. To do is get those holes drilled. I'm going to make up a reinforcement plate to go up on the top side of the frame, give us a little more rigidity in the frame in that area, and that could be bolted in. This particular car, we're not going to actually install this one. We're going to install one of the Tinman's custom tubular cross members for it, but I wanted to show you how you can install it with your stock cross member for a little more strength and a little more, a little cleaner look. That tubular cross member will do a nice job, and you won't require any drilling.